No more meals now. Last night I was in Sharon now. That's my hometown. Right, I was telling you, Jim, this here on the way down, is that Sharon probably lost 50,000 full-time jobs. Why? Right, because the bankers have decided now that they wanted to transfer our wealth, that would take it to red China. We never voted for that. Sharon Steel, that used to employ 10 or 12,000 at its peak. Westinghouse at its peak controlled 16. Look, when I go back home now, what do I see? That my friends and what's in their yard? Foreclosure sales, for sale signs, price reduced. Why? Because we've been sleeping, you and me, and look, it's about time that we stop this. That these guys now, when they foreclose on someone's home, that's outright theft. That because this banker has never lent them, so excuse the word, a damn dime, okay? There is no money. So what we're going to do here now that we're going to explain all that, Jim, okay? So first of all, let's give these people some proof. That who owns the Federal Reserve Bank, Jim? Would you please read now question number one, the answer to that?
The 12 regional banks aren't government institutions, but corporations nominally owned by the member commercial banks who must buy special non-marketable stock in their district Federal Reserve banks.
Now, Jim, who wrote that? That wasn't me, was it?
No, that's
right, so
from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, page 21. I bet you thought, is that the name of the book
yes.
that they made? Yeah.
Jim, let me ask you this now. Based upon that, who owns other Federal Reserve banks?
Private corporations. And they make the banks by non-marketable stocks, so they lock the banks into getting all of their fiat currency right from the Federal Reserve by the stock they're holding.
Well, that's exactly right. But let me ask you this, once again. What control now does the government have over the Federal Reserve?
None.
None.
It's the other way around, the way I see it. The Federal Reserve is controlling the government. Well, they control the money supply, and whoever controls the money supply can control the government.
Sure. Who said that years ago?
Woodrow Wilson?
No, he was a guy now. Look, he was a banker. And what he said is that I dare not...
It was Rockefeller.
I dare not care who makes the laws as long as I control the currency. Jim, stop and think now that if our House passed the finest legislation known to man, look, it was great, but without the supply of money equal to the means of productions, nothing would flow. So what good are those laws? Right? You might as well throw them away.
Yeah.
Now, that's what's going on now. Okay? Look, the Federal Reserve has to be taught. People have to understand that they're our enemy. Banks are not our friends. Okay?
Yeah.
Banks are stealing us blind every single day of our lives, and what are we doing about it? Oh, well.
Thanking them.
Well, look, that's not my house now that's going to go, but it's, look, it's my neighbor's house. But as long as it's not mine, I don't really care. Jim, that's the wrong attitude. That's not what is being an American. Look, but we get our strength now by groups, not by that one guy doing his own thing. Look, this country wasn't founded on it.
No, it was we the people.
We the people, exactly right. So what are we the people doing now?
Nothing.
We're
letting them take our homes, take all of our real property.
And what are we doing about it?
Letting them do it. They're getting away with it.
And most of the guys that are turning their keys in and say, here, banker, please take my house because I can no longer afford it. That would be a cold day before they would take my house.
Yeah.
All right, because I worked in that house, I built that house, and nobody's taken my house. I paid for it how many times over? Now, but now we're going to explain all that. Now let's look at number two. Now, and those people now are going to say to me, Mickey, that's fine, that's only one book. But what I have to say is this here's the fact. That go out and look at Dun and Bradstreet and Ward's Business Directory. And what do you believe that you're going to find? The Federal Reserve banks are listed as private, profit-seeking, tax-exempt corporations. So don't believe me, don't believe Jim, that look at the papers themselves. The Dun & Bradstreet report outlines it. It is a private, profit-seeking, tax-exempt corporation. Private. That's absurd to me. That's a great big disgrace. Now, Jim, look, the way I look at it is like this. There's been now 1 million boys and girls who's lost their lives for the defense of this land of ours. And we're going to allow a group of 12 banks to destroy this country just for their own economic gain? I don't think so, okay? Now, let's look at number 2 now. Jim, now doesn't the United States government own 1 share of stock within this private, profit-seeking, tax-exempt corporation?
When the Federal Reserve was created, its stock was sold to member banks. As stockholders, they elect some of the directors of the 12 Federal Reserve banks. The other directors are appointed by a board of governors. The directors and the officers they select run the Federal Reserve Bank, and their 20,000 or more employees who are not under civil service.
Now stop right there. Jim, who pays these people then? The Federal Reserve banks themselves.
Well, we pay them, but...
Oh, no, we don't. That's Federal
Reserve. Don't they steal our money and pay them?
Well, they do that. Yeah, they do that later on, but we're going to build up after that. Jim, who wrote that?
Hats of the Federal Reserve Wears by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia on page 14. It's out of the Federal Reserve's own literature.
Now, let's go back now. And what about all these plants here that are shutting down?
Like Hammer Mill, that's shut down for a while.
All right, well, one example now. But what about Ford now? Yeah. They announced last night that they're going to be shutting down for maybe 2 to 4 weeks. But what's missing, Jim? Don't the people want to buy cars?
They can't afford to.
Yeah, but don't people want to buy cars?
Yeah, they need cars.
Then don't the people want to buy new homes and new furniture? And don't the people want to work? And don't the guys at Ford now want their employees to work? But what's missing?
Real money is
missing. Now, too, and haven't we just said now that if George Bush called up the Federal Reserve Bank and said this, that I am the President of the United States, that I signed an executive order that I want XYZ money to be introduced. What do you think now that Bernanke is going to tell the President of the United States? What do you think he's going to say?
He's going to tell him what to do and the way it is. This is the new currency.
How is it, Jim? But how is it? The Federal Reserve Bank runs this system.
They run the government.
What did Lincoln say, now like when he lived?